Hello and welcome back to WTF MCP, where we talk about Marvel Crisis Protocol. I'm Jay Schlansky, that's Tim France, and we're ready to talk about more list building. This is going to be list building 102, Tim.
hmm
I know you failed this in college, but it's time for you to get back.
Oh, joke's on you. You have to go to college to fail it. That's how you get them.
I never even took it. So last episode, we talked about just getting started, picking your affiliation, picking leaders, kind of like how your list should look for the most part. This week we want to talk about splash characters and pocket threats.
Yeah. And this is kind of a huge part of the game, especially with one of the new affiliations, Hellfire Club. That's just oops, all pocket threats.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't know, Tim, kind of describe to us like what's a pocket threat for those who don't know, maybe.
So a pocket threat, I mean, to me, could mean a couple different things.
Sure.
I've gone into games where someone was running, say, Web Warriors, and they had a bunch of spider folks,
Yeah.
and then Hulk's there too. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, now I might have to deal with Hulk. That could be a threat that he has in his back pocket that I don't know if he's
Yeah.
going to use or not. Turned out to be a pocket threat. He's like, oh, yeah, I never run Hulk. It just puts people on edge. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yep, no, yep, he did work. He didn't even pay for him. Great.
Yeah.
but, um, so a pocket threat is really something there that is going to kind of be a trump card or a trap card, right? In Yu-Gi-Oh terms, to make sure that you always kind of have something in your back pocket to either seize the day, steal the day, or beat your opponent into oblivion.
Yeah. And I think Hulk is like the prime example.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because he's Hulk and he's great and he can go like he fits basically every list. Because he's Hulk. And so, like Shield does this a lot. A lot of Shield players will have
Mm-hmm.
a Hulk pocket threat just to like, and it makes you as an opponent, it just makes you think about your lineup, having somebody that could handle him, having, being just prepared for there to be a 20 wound unit on the board that you're gonna
Monster.
have to
Yeah.
deal with because he's gonna smash everything. Um, and so yeah, so that's pocket threats. And then splash characters are characters that enhance what you're doing already. Like an example of this that I was talking to Tim about actually right before we hit recording is if you have a list, like let's say a shield list where you have like Black Widow, Spider Woman, who are stealing objectives, you could have Toad as a splash character because Toad can take an objective off an allied character. And
Mm-hmm.
then so basically you're creating this like daisy chain of asset stealing, to like get Toad way in the back corner and hold on to your victory points.
Yep. And there's kind of like a go-to list of splash characters that are also kind of pocket threats.
Yep.
Rhino's a great one. The
Yeah.
Toad, like you mentioned, Hulk,
Yep.
Black Cat, even characters that are two threats that don't necessarily see a whole ton of play, but you might need it to make a particular point cost. We see a lot of Bullseye, Toad, another two. Okoye has some bodyguard
Mm.
stuff that kind of benefits everybody. Um, a handful of others I keep forgetting. Oh, like Bucky,
Zemo.
um, Zemo. Yep,
Yeah.
another stellar one. Just benefits his allies that are around him, so he's kind of good anywhere.
Yeah. Wong.
Yes, yeah, another two threat. So like
Yeah.
having those two threats, even if they aren't an affiliation, are pretty stellar.
Yeah, and so we just named a whole bunch of characters and as far as Splash, when you're not playing affiliation, Splash is good to have. Like my recommendation, I think this, and Tim, you can disagree with me. This is not like solid science. I'm just going off a feeling here.
And gel science.
Yeah, yeah. um, I tend to like to have about 5 to 6 characters of my main, and I mentioned this last episode, but like
Mm-hmm.
of just like, okay, I know I love all these characters. I know how they play. I know what I want them to do. They're all good depending on what the objectives are that are on the table to secure and extracts. Then about 4 to 5, whether it's half and half or 6 and 4. Then about let's say four of my characters are splash. And that could be Beta Ray Bill, that could be Toad, that could
Oh,
be
I can't believe I forgot Beta Ray
yeah,
Bill.
Beta
Yeah,
Ray
that's a
Bill. Yeah,
huge
it's
one.
so good.
Yeah.
Hulk, whatever those splash characters are. But what I tend to do is say So, I think when you're building a list, you want to be prepared. What's your style of play? Mine is a very aggressive style. I'm not much of a thinky guy. I'm more of a smashy guy. Um, but sometimes you have to have thinky plays, geared up in case, it's all good and well that you can smash stuff, but if you have an opponent who's really good at controlling objective play, even if you're smashing them, like X-Men, right? Very good at holding
Mhm.
objectives. And Avengers can come in and smash them all they want, but they could smash back, and they've got all this tech to let them like basically grab and hold on to
Yeah.
objectives, right? Uh, and so you need to have an answer for that, right? And so one of those answers could be a rhino or a
Yeah,
what
Black Cat.
black cat. Sorry, yeah. There's so many like particularly female colored animals.
Yes.
Right, it's a Black Widow, Scarlet, Scarlet. It's just like there's so many
Yeah.
color combinations, and like, it's like every time I play Keebler, he's got a number of them. So he's got like Black Cat, Black. He was playing Shield, Black Cat, Black Widow, Spider Woman, and I just
Mhm.
every time was calling them a different name that wasn't their name, and just going, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that one, the one that's right there, man. Like just getting like losing my mind. Um, but yeah, anyways, so you want to have these splash characters about 3 to 4. Four, I it tends to be the number that you go, okay, this is for like objective play. So I got Black Cat. This Rhino is for objective play, but I also need him to be able to like hold up to like a Thor or
Yeah.
somebody strong coming in and smashing stuff. Hulk is a pocket threat, but that's also a splash character. Like if they have a lot of um whether they have a couple stronger characters or they're spreading out with a bunch of weaker characters, Hulk loves both of those and will come
Mhm.
in real hard on all of that. So and then Baron Zemos, oh my God, he's just so good.
He's really stellar, and I think the big takeaway is if you're playing an affiliation, what's something that maybe you're not good at
Yeah.
within that affiliation? Web Warriors lacks a lot of punch. They're great at objective play. They're great at moving around the table. Ghost Spider is another very popular splash. Actually, gets people out of danger. So sometimes they need a little bit of oomph behind them. So
Yeah.
having that Hulk there was a very popular roster for a while that was Thanos and Web Warriors,
Yep.
um, where you're just kind of filling in some of the weaker ends of what your affiliation is kind of meant for or does on a regular basis. Popular splash that I use is Killmonger. When I see a Hulk on the other side of the table, it doesn't matter necessarily what affiliation I'm running. I
Yep.
need something to really focus down that Hulk if that's the route I'm going to go. And Killmonger is a great piece for that. If they're running a whole bunch, if they're
Yeah.
running wide and they have a whole bunch of smaller characters without a lot of health, being able to have that splash of Beta Ray Bill to go in there and just clunk two people and then throw one into another one each round and start weeding them out is another great way to go. So you want to be looking at what your affiliation is not known for and then supplementing that with a splash character.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's really the biggest thing, and or like, I think just setting up battle plans, for yourself, and making sure you have characters that enhance those plans or throw a wrench in your opponent's plans, right? Like it's like sometimes Hulk, for instance, I know we've talked a lot about him, but Hulk, just he's a great example, or Beta Ray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them really enhance your plans unless your plan is to kill. They both kind of they're disruptors to your opponent's
Correct.
play.
Yep.
And that's a very viable tactic as well, as saying, okay, well, Hulk's not really good at this or this, but he's really good at disrupting my opponents, so I'm gonna throw him in. But Hulk's also good at there's certain objectives like cubes. Hulk loves cubes because he loves getting wounds.
Mm-hmm.
He loves hammers because he
He loves
loves
hammers.
throwing extra dice. Like having a Hulk with 3 hammers and like 8 wounds on him
My,
is
My favorite thing
real
about
rough.
hammers is like everyone will talk about their favorite character and be like, "Oh yeah, Bullseye. I love him on hammers. I really like Sentinel Prime." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're running hammers. It's Sentinel Prime time."
Yep.
Like that's one of the things I really love about this game is like everyone can kind of take their own inflection, and it's really good for everyone. I'm sure there's like actual meta stuff out there and smarter people in this game that could talk about, well, I don't want to run this on hammers, that, but everyone likes throwing more dice. Hammers is always fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, yeah, because hammers is like you have an objective, it gives you an extra die for attacking. Of course, you're gonna like that. Like
Yeah,
there's literally not a character in the world that doesn't like that.
correct.
You know, like, um,
One splash
but
that I've seen work very well that I like quite a bit is Loki,
yeah,
especially in going up against. He's not super common. Nate GG was a very prominent user of this, but Loki has what's called the Loki tax. If he's within range of you and you go to spend for a superpower, he makes it cost more. And that's one
yeah,
of those things that, especially against web warriors, which is very power dependent. They have a lot of gainers and they have a lot of powers that they want to use, but they have to do it very calculated. Throwing Loki into the mix so they
yeah,
either have to spend more or can't afford the things they want to do is super great. It
yep,
also completely negates discount Steve's affiliation ability. Um, it's really good. And then on his injured side, you don't count crits either. Uh, Loki's one of those,
yeah.
he's pretty good.
Look, and I would say, okay, that's a dangerous statement. What I was going to say, I don't know that there's any bad characters in MCP, but there are. But I think there's so many characters that I don't know that we've seen everything that they can do specifically with the rate at which new stuff is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, I think Wong is a great example with Professor X. Like Professor X came out and now Wong is looking real good. Uh,
Yep.
and I think there's some older characters too that we could start seeing come out of the woodwork because they play nicely with these newer characters, right? And that's where that
Well,
splash is from, right?
exactly. And I think that's really cool too. Like I talk about it a lot, but that new Spider Foes affiliation box like brought a bunch of old Spider Foes back
Yeah,
into the mix of things that hadn't kind of been around for a while. It wasn't super regular that we were seeing Green Goblin or the new Doc Ock as affiliation leaders actually being run, but with that new box, it brings out some of the old stuff. You never know what's down the pipeline, so a character could really kind of come online at any
right.
point.
Yeah, and so that's great. And this game has no shortage of new stuff coming out.
Or no shortage of material to pull from.
Yeah, right, that
Like,
too. Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, I know this is something you and I have talked about not doing because we want this content to be evergreen, but I need to ask you,
yeah,
what are you like the things that have been announced, what are you looking forward to the most?
Apocalypse probably.
Yeah.
Or Nova and Yandu.
Yeah.
I super dig Yandu. I've wanted him for a long time. He's been like on my top 5 for a hot minute. Very excited about that. I don't know. The monster stuff is awesome. I'm excited for Dracula. I'm really excited for Mephisto.
Yep.
Um, Mostly for Mephisto jokes, but like yeah, I'm pretty pumped for it overall.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely all the monsters stuff. I have a very specific reason. My wife is not a big gamer. I've tried to get her into a few times. She's just, but I've always been thinking MCP is like this game that I think she might be okay playing because it's very swingy, a lot of dice, like a lot of
Mhm.
activities going on. She's obsessed with Halloween. So the fact that they're doing the
Hell yeah.
monsters with the castle and all that stuff, I'm like, oh, this might be the thing I can I could get her into it. So
The
anyways,
fact that they're making a terrain piece
yeah.
that comes out so we can have in MCP that scene of Moon Knight walking down the stairs, calling Dracula a nerd and
Yeah.
asking where his money is, like it's really a dream come true.
Yeah, I know it's so good. I think that's like one of the best things about MCP is like you said earlier, like so much content to draw from, but
Mhm.
just so many different vibes, right? For everyone. Like everyone would have a vibe that they cling to, whether it's serious or funny or jokey or
Mhm.
or Halloween or whatever it is, the movies, you like MCU more than you like the comics. Well, yeah, this is like there's something for you in MCP, and that I think is the most exciting part from like a community building standpoint.
Well, and to segue that into the episode, right? Like any new release could be a new pocket threat for an affiliation you're already
Yes,
playing,
that's true. Right. Yeah.
right? Like
You could
who
have
knows how the Living Mummy is going to affect
right.
shield play?
Yeah.
Like
And
it's super cool.
yeah, and then when you daze wolf by night, you could werewolf by night, you could say Wolfman has nards. That's a,
That is you
that's
totally could.
that's an old movie reference for all you youngsters.
But one of my favorite things from listening to people at events or other shows or whatnot, or just general discussion on the discords or the Facebook groups is like a new character will get announced and they'll reveal their card and it's like, oh my god, Shang-Chi, I can't wait to run him an X.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in whatever affiliation he's meant for, but I can't wait to put him in Black Order. I
Right,
can't
right,
wait
right.
to,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a running gag on our stuff. It's like, oh, dude, this new character, this unlocks Sentinels. This is what we've been waiting for. Now,
That
granted,
is,
that joke used to be about X Force, but
oh
now
my
X
god.
Force is like really good.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. They really are. Yeah, that's one of my yeah, when you guys do that stuff with Sentinels, it's so good. Oh my god. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that was another great episode.
yeah, same.
Proud of you, Tim. You're doing great.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
You're not too bad yourself, Jay.
All right, thanks.
Doing literally all the work for this.
Not really. It's not work when you're hanging out with your friends.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go because that was a really lame way to end this, and I think that's how we do it. So bye, everybody.